Okay, there's a formula for setting edge distance. So instead of just going to nice even 1 inch, the formula is 1.5 inches times the diameter plus the tolerance. So I am going to zoom up on this hole, and what I'm going to do is I want to create a parameter to link to the hole size. So we go to parameter, and I want to change this, and for some reason I got to slide this way up to the top corner, type in length, and then it shows up way down here for some reason. Double click on that, create the new parameter, and we will call this hole diameter. Okay, and let's just make it 9/16 hole. Whoa, what happened there? 9/16. Oh. Okay, so it's a 9/16 hole. Select OK. I'm going to double click this hole, and we will change this to 3/8 inch hole. So when I really go to change it, you'll see it link. All right. So to link the hole size to the parameter, we double click the hole and edit the formula. Pick that hole diameter and select double click it. Okay. So we got that linked to the hole diameter. Select OK. Select OK. Now you see that hole got bigger. The diameter is now 5/625 because it's linked to this. If I change this back to 3/8, it's going to change it to 0.375. Again, if I double click the hole, the reason why this is gray is because there's a formula linked to it. The formula is linking it to the parameter in the tree, which is this hole diameter. So now that you got the hole linked, we've got to figure out edge distance. Select OK to that. Okay, so I'm going to hide the measurements to get them out of the way. And I'll double click this hole. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double click this and hit equals. So I know that this one equals this one. Okay, so there's only one I have to account for, which is this. So I want to have this be edge distance. So that number here, when I double click on it, there's got to be a formula. I'm going to link that formula to the size of the hole times 1.5. So that's center hole to edge of part. 1.5 times the diameter. And I like to add the tolerance, which is 0.3 tolerance for engineering. And you can go 0.3 or above, anything above. You can go 1/10 of an inch. I'm going to go 0.05. Okay, so I know I've got a little extra meat on it than the minimum here. Now, this is a general rule. Your homework assignment was to go look up edge distance based on hole size, material, and material thickness. So there's a formula pending on that, but as a general rule here, I can just use 1.5 times the diameter plus the tolerance, and that should be pretty good edge distance. We want edge distance so we don't get too close to the edge of the part. We don't want that hole to create a stress where it's going to rip and break free over here. I always compare it to hanging a poster on the wall. If you put your thumbtack too close to the corner of the paper, sooner or later it's bound to tear off on you. So you want to get it further in so you got a lot of meat holding that hole in there, or probably a bolt or fastener going through that hole that can handle that kind of stress. So I'm going to hit OK, and then you're going to get an error. Do you guys know why I'm going to get an error? because the tolerance has got to be metric, inches. What do you want to have it in? So I hit OK, and I'll go back to the formula, and I'll add the inches at the end of this in lowercase. IN for inches, hit OK. You'll see that 0.6125 is good, and this would be great if I wanted that at 0.6125. But you know what? I really don't want that over there. I want that to keep centered. So I'm going to hit OK to that and hit OK. Now, if I were working on a big plate and this was going to be on the corner of it, that'd be great. But if I want that hole to be centered, what could I do? Let's double click this hole. What I want to do is create a parameter that controls this width over here. How do I do that? Go to formula, create another length parameter. Let's call it width with a capital letter. And we'll make this width 3 inches so we can see the change. I'll select OK to that. Double click this sketch. See that 2-inch dimension? I really want that 2-inch dimension to be linked to the width. I click on this and I create a formula that's linked to the parameter in the tree. Create that formula. This is offset number 9. That was the offset from sketch 9. It's going to equal, right here where it says equal, whatever I put in the field down here in the white area. I double click the width, select OK, select OK. That part got longer, hit OK. Now why didn't the hole move? Well, the hole didn't move because I didn't link that. Remember, I linked this one to this one, but I don't really want that link to that anymore. So I double click on that. If you don't want the link, you hit FX and you hit this icon right here to remove the link. It's going to delete the text field. When I click on that, that is wiped out. What I really want to link it to is the width. So I link it to the width and hit OK. Why is it doing that? That looks weird. Let's preview that. It's putting the hole here. Why? What's wrong with my formula? Go back to FX. If you make a mistake, you don't have to start your whole project all over. You just go back and modify. And when I do the FX, I got the width, but I want it half of the width. No problem. Divide that by 2, and you'll get half the width. Select OK. I'm at 1.5 inches. Select OK. Select OK. Now the hole is right dead center. So if I change the plate hole width, if I change this width back to 2 where it was, it'll adjust the hole to be centered. Change the width back to 4, or not back to 4, but to 4. Again, it keeps the holes all centered this way. We've got the hole spacing all nice and even. We got the edge distance, the correct edge distance. So when I do a measure between, it's calculating from here to here. Why don't I see my measure between? Measure between, see if I can get that center line. This is interesting. I don't see my dis. It's doing. I don't know why I'm not getting the right edge distance here. I know it's right. I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to try another trick. Measure between. I've been having a hard time getting the edges, but I'll see if I can grab the edge. If you can get the edge of center, will pop up. And I'll go to this edge over here. It's not at an angle. I don't know why I've got a distance of 0 inches. But I know this formula is correct. So I'm not sure why this measurement's not working right here at the time, but that's how that's done. You can measure off those 2 edges. See if this one works. Oh, I put my measurements in hide. I forgot about that. So yeah, I've already got that measure distance here. Okay. Oh, sometimes you make the silliest mistakes here recording. I'll pull those out of hide. There's your 6125. And let's try that again. Measure between center to this surface over here. Oh, minimum distance 1.38. What the heck did I do wrong? I feel like, oh, what was I know what I did wrong. Okay. The edge distance is correct over here. When I do this formula here for your spacing, I've got to substitute now. It's no longer 1 inch. It is the edge distance. Now, I like grabbing the edge distance off of here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the reverse of what you're accustomed to seeing. I'm going to click this hole here. No, sorry. I'm going to double click this hole. Let me hide the measurements again. I'm going to double click this hole over here. Double click on this. Hit the FX. And I'm going to rename this to ED so I can go find that. At least I thought I was going to. Why are you not letting me rename that? Let's go to FX. And I'm going to pick on the hole. This one right here, I'm going to rename that to ED so I can find it. Okay, this is the one that has my formula that's linked to find the edge distance. I need this in my formula. So what I'm going to do here is say OK. Sorry, go to FX, and I'm going to pick this edge here. And I'm going to add a formula, rename parameters, and I'm going to find that ED that I just found. So ED now equals ED. I say OK. And say OK. When I double click this, it's going to be gray because it's linked to the edge distance in my formula here. But I like it up here so people can see what is my edge distance. And then also, when I go to fix my formula, I change my spacing. I get rid of the 1, and I click on the ED. So now it is length minus 2 times the ED divided by the number of holes minus 1. You should have that formula noted for yourself. You're going to use this on multiple occasions. Okay, I'll select OK. That changed my spacing. I don't know if you noticed that shift a little bit. I'll hit preview. You'll see that whole shift. Select OK. Pull my measurements out of hide. You got your distance 0.6125 on this end. That's why you always should have your measurements in there, because you think you're doing something right and it turns out, much to your dismay, you actually did something wrong. Even I was dumbfounded that I made a mistake, but the measurements don't lie. So I quickly remembered that we have an edge distance that had to be accommodated for because I wasn't no longer using the 1 inch edge distance given. It's got to be whatever edge distance is calculated. So if I change a hole to 0.75, this edge distance changes here. This edge distance changes here. Hide the measurements. Change the number of holes. 20. The holes are equally spaced. I've got 20 holes in there. Change the number of, change width to 6. Change width back to 3. Change my length 22 and an eighth. Oops. 22 and an eighth. No matter what I do to this, the holes are equally spaced and they're maintaining the minimum edge distance. You'll use this formula a lot, so I hope all these videos work for you to help make this easier.